Hello, this is ReFabFashion. I'm a reseller based in Boston, and I'm reviewing my sales for the week of January 9th through 15th, which I like to do a Tuesday through the following Monday because I often run a big sale over the weekend, which has a trickle over into the Sunday and Monday after that weekend. So I have 18 sales to share with you. If you like what sold videos, you want to see what I'm selling, for good profit and also the flops that didn't make me much profit, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you'd like to know when I put out more what sold videos. I'm getting caught up right now in January and February with some really exciting sales recently in February. I really did not do any thrifting or listing for the month of December and into mid-January, so you'll see a mix here. A lot of these were things that I've had for quite some time that I delisted and relisted over time. Every couple of months, I try to do that with my inventory, and I also offered some big sales during this week. So hopefully you'll stick around and see what sold for me in this second full week in January. The first sale I want to review is this Fred Perry, which is a great brand to be looking out for. This is just a men's polo shirt. Here's the label. This looked a little bit older here, this tag, but when I came home and researched this particular item and the price point, I found that there were mostly just plain items, plain colored, solid color items. So this one with the pattern was a little more interesting. There was a little bit of bleed through on the collar here around the red, but the underarms had no staining and were in pretty good shape. So I listed this for $50 and it did sell after some delists and relists over time. It took 113 days to sell, but sold on Poshmark for my full asking price of the $50. This next item is the CP Shades, which is a great brand to look out for. Mostly I come across women's items, which these pants are a women's item, but they do make men's as well, so you have to be a little careful. Everything is a bit oversized and flowy, mostly linen, which these pants are linen as well. But things sell for a great price point. These did sell for $55, which was an offer I received from the buyer. These were a pull-on style with pockets. When I got these did have a bunch of stains. There was like a hot pink section on the pant leg and I think some yellow stains. But with it being all pure white, I just did a wash with some bleach. I picked these up at a Goodwill for $6.88. These took just 62 days to sell and again sold for that $55 mark. There is a style code on CP Shades items. I don't always find the stock photo or image. As you can see with these, I didn't have one in my listing here. But I think these were just a much older style. There's so many kind of white, wide leg linen pants that I saw. And these did not look like the more current styles that I found stock photos for. But pretty much anything CP Shades I pick up, and as I said, the white, if there's staining, I try to check it over, but I'll still pick it up even with stains because you can use the bleach in the wash and not damage the other coloration to the item. Also to note in my photographs, I do like to use a background remover for the cover photo, but with white on my white background, it gets a little hard. So I leave these just the natural color that came through in my photos. And just try to take the close-up pictures where I can to really emphasize the brightness of the white. This next item is a Spanx faux leather leggings, a size medium, which I prefer the larger sizes. But these as well also have the style code right on the tag. So these are kind of a moto look to them, design, so the faux leather plus the moto look. I picked these up at a consignment store, which I kind of regret doing once I got home. I knew the faux leather was really great, but this moto style is not as strong. I paid $25 at the consignment store for for these, and I had in my mind that I could sell them for 75 to 100, but when I came home and did my research, these were not selling as strong. There were a lot on there in the size medium in the moto style. This is on the tag here. The style code is always here under the main tag. But these were in great condition at a consignment store. Things are usually in great condition. I did check it over before I purchased it, but you kind of don't have to spend as much time looking things over because they've already scanned that. So these sold for $51. This was an offer from a buyer, and my net profit with the $25 into it was just $15.81. This item I've had for a long time. This is a Lululemon black wrap jacket, and there was a style code in there around the size dot. I did find the stock images and the name, the Rulu Rally Wrap. But this sat for a long time. It's not a more current item. I got this at a Savers for an average cost of goods that day of $7.25. There were no flaws or any condition issues. As you'll see, I used my mannequin here to just give the shape of the wrap to come through a little bit better. And yeah, the size dot did have the style code. So this is newer. The really, really old stuff just has the size dot with just the size and the white, but this did have the style. So I was able to look it up. But in 2020, and this, I don't know, I don't recall now if it's very oversaturated or what, but this was not selling for very much. Anyway, $25. I don't recall if that was an offer, if I had kind of dropped my price over time. So my profit on that after fees was $12.75. These Abercrombie and Fitch jeans, I like to pick up certain styles of Abercrombie and Fitch. I'll even pay $10 or $12 for these at a Savers, for example. And I thought this would do better because it was a long inseam, the long or tall sizes I thought would be a little more desirable. And just in general, a size 30 or a size 10. These were the baggy fit, which has been popular. But these took a long time. I had some interest, steady interest, I would say, on my platforms in terms of likes and watchers. I had some lower offers sent to me, but after a delist and relist, I was able to sell these for $30. My purchase price, the average cost of goods this day at a Savers was about $12, so I did certainly pay a bit more for these. And yeah, not as great as the high rise 90s fit or the ultra high rise mom jeans, dad jeans from Abercrombie. And perhaps being the long, there was just fewer people looking for this style. So at $30 sale and my $12 in, after fees and everything, I just made about $9 profit on these. Barefoot Dreams, this sold for less than, a couple of years ago. Barefoot Dreams would have sold for a lot more, but this was a substantial piece, a robe in this taupe brown color. They have kind of the single number sizing, 1, 2, 3, but people who know the brand kind of know their size. This is unisex. I think I listed it under women. Yes, I did. So this I found at a Goodwill. At this particular Goodwill, there are certain sections I like to go to that are less picked over. It's a very busy one. So I do look at the robes and pajamas. It's usually packed full. Sometimes there's dresses on that section, so it's an interesting section at this store. My average cost of goods this day was just $4.62, and selling it for $30, I had a profit of just over $19, and this only took 88 days to sell. So I would pick this up again, especially at about, $5 cost. And whenever there's this sizing that's a little different, if I can find from the website a size chart to put on, similarly with Chico's, they do kind of the 1, 2, 3 sizing. I like to put that right in my listing so the buyers have a sense. But people really know this brand, just like with Chico's with this different sizing, or Ted Baker, people usually know the brand and know their sizing in the brand. This item here is a schoolboy blazer, but this particular one was worn by Kate Middleton. So this really gives a lot of strength to this. That and just the style being a double-breasted fit is, I guess, demands a little bit more money, or I try to demand more money. I like to list my blazers at about $100, especially this double-breasted one. I've sold this a couple of times now. This item I actually purchased on Poshmark from a seller, a pretty well-known seller on YouTube, and found it. I paid in total with shipping $34.99, so almost $35. But I had sold this before. I already had my listing from before with the stock photos, had found that Kate Middleton wore this. So I just took fresh photos of the new item I had brought in. This was size 4, so a little bit smaller size than the one I'd sold before, but in really great condition. The back vent was still tacked closed, which I don't call this new without tags, but I just do note it. With my blazers, I kind of put my brand, a style name, the materials, size, and then I always list these items about a blazer. So if it's, a single button or 2-button closure or double-breasted, if it's fully lined or not lined, partially lined, how many back vents. In this case, it's a single back vent, a notched lapel, which is the collar here. If there's this notch in it, that's a notch. If it's just straight, sometimes that's a shawl collar. A peaked lapel, as if this came out further than the upper part. So it's good to know the details there, if there's pockets and if the cuffs have any buttons. And then I do put extra measurements for my blazers. Often the top shoulders seem to seam across flat, as well as what I do for other tops, the underarm, the waist, the length. But then with blazers, I also do put the sleeve length as well. And I just find that that reduces the questions that I get, helps the buyer feel more confident in buying. So this sold for $70. As I mentioned, I had $35 into it, and after fees, I had just over $20 profit. This item was really great. This also was a little bit of an arbitrage situation where I found this on ThreadUp. So I do look on ThreadUp occasionally and do some particular searches that have been fruitful for me. So I found this Torrid Outlander line, which I do like to sell Torrid Outlander in particular. This was a size 3 or 3X. As I was researching, this seems to be more rare, meaning that there are not many listed or sold on Poshmark and eBay. I was able to find the stock photos, which I think really helped given this asymmetric front closure, and then took photos just on the hanger. I have these hangers. I bought these on Amazon. These have, it's a little hard to see, I suppose, in this, but these are plastic and they're expandable for the shoulders, so you can kind of click them in to be at their smallest. They are women's size small. And then at their largest here, which I don't know if this was even the largest setting, but it comes more to the natural shoulder seam, which I like for the larger items or even men's items. So this was a great sale. I really stuck to my price. I had a lot of interest in this item over time. This took 50 days to sell. As I mentioned, I found this on ThreadUp for $14, sold it for the $63, which was 10 or 15% off what I had it listed. I think I had it for $70, the 10% offer on Poshmark with the discounted shipping, but my total profit was $34.39. This week was particularly good on eBay for me, so I just had 8 sales on Poshmark and had 9 sales here on eBay in this week. This first one I did pick up at a Savers. It's a Ralph Lauren vintage 90s kind of Y2K shoulder bag. But when I got it home and looked it over some more, I realized there was a little bit more wear and tear than I would have liked. So this flap closure on the front, it was missing the snap part or the magnetic part. But this front was so heavy, it kind of hung over naturally. So didn't really affect the function of the bag. But there was some more fraying and damage to the strap than I realized in the store. I just made sure I took the close-up pictures. The corners had a little wear, but the condition of the leather bag overall was in pretty good shape. The inside was pretty clean. Um, so there was a lot of interest over the time I had this, but I ended up selling it for less than I initially thought, given the kind of wear to this item. So I found this at a Savers. My average cost of goods that day was $9.59. So I did not make much profit, just $10.66 total, and this took 224 days to sell. I would look for this style again, and I think the crest here, the LRL, was nice, but I would not pick this up in the condition that it's in again. This item was also a thread-up find, thread-up arbitrage. This is Burton. This was on thread-up. If they don't know the brand for some reason, it falls under assorted brands, so I was searching there. But in the thread-up image, I was able to see some of the printing here, in particular on the back, this AK Burton. So when I did a Google Lens and searched that, I could find the brand, that it's Burton and this AK line. And this seemed to be worthwhile picking up to try to sell. So on thredup, I paid almost $15 for this, and it sold on eBay for $50 in the end, which was an offer I made. The buyer also paid shipping. This took 262 days to sell, and my net profit was $28.82. The condition was really great. That's another thing when I'm looking on thredup for things that I might be able to sell better than they are, or for more money. I do sort just by excellent condition items. However, with thredup, you never know. They don't fully check things over. Or I've had things that come, and based on how they store it or how the hangers operate in their big warehouse, I'll have like grease marks on some items sometimes, but usually their customer service is pretty responsive to me. So, but this one ended up being a great sale. This I mentioned in my last What Sold as well, the Packed brand. This was a little bit more interesting piece, being cargo pants, but Packed is a very popular brand. I get a lot of likes and watchers, a lot of interest. These are a pair of cargo pants with pockets, great condition, a size medium. These were women's, organic cotton and hemp. So these ended up being a good sale. These always sell for less than I'm hoping. My average cost at Savers this day was $5.06. And these sold on an offer for $25. The buyer did pay shipping, so after fees, my profit was $17.43. This pair of Eileen Fisher pants, these are linen pants, and I guess to note, just like with the Packed pants, this lighter weight, these being linen pants here, are selling in January. So pretty much all year round. In the summer, I've sold cashmere, and in the winter, I sell shorts and linen. But these pants I had sold before, and they were returned. I used to accept returns on eBay. I currently do not, which I can talk about in another video. But these, so they were previously returned to me, but sold again for me. My buy-in was $4. This was from a local thrift store to me, where I have a lower cost of goods. Typically, pants are just $4 at this shop. So $4 in, and they did sell. I always have a sale running for 15% off. Sometimes I change that to 20% off on eBay. But my standard 15% off, the buyer paid, and right away at this discount, so $33.99 plus $6.99 shipping. So after fees, I made $26.49. Even with the prior return from the date I initially listed this for sale, it was 111 days. This dress here is Garnet Hill, which I've slowed down on picking up. This is the second time I've sold this dress. It's a jersey knit wrap dress, tencel. This is a size medium. This one was new with tags. And I found this before my first one had sold, but had some good interest, and the listing was easier too because I already had the style name, the stock photo, etc. Um, but this took much longer than my first item to sell, and it had, I think, a lower sale price than even my used one from before. But this I found at a Goodwill. I paid $6.06. I sold it for $22, so I gave an additional offer to the watcher there. They did pay shipping, and my total profit was $13.15. This item I picked up. I'm not intending to do more of these, but I once in a while on Facebook Marketplace would do a large clothing buyout from people. I always make some profit off of those, but it's not always very profitable. So I slow down on this, but this is the last one I did. This was just a no brand scarf, but pretty easy to list. I just used the mannequin to give some shape and sense of the colors, but I listed it for just $10 and had my discount there automatically. So I had $2.04 into this item, and each item in this Facebook Marketplace buyout sold for the $8.49. The buyer paid shipping, so my profit was $4.35. This item, I do like this brand when I find it. It's kind of punk grunge sort of vibe to it. Zadig and Voltaire. This is the name of the blazer. They do have style names on the tag, so the very grunge white blazer. It's in European sizing, so I did have to take measurements and look up the size conversion. It was kind of a cream white color. This item I've had for a long time. This was a pretty small size, the extra small. Yeah, it's kind of this white with the cream contrast. So the lighting on my white background was a little hard to get this to look very bright and vibrant, which probably affected the sale and how long it took. But there were others listed and sold on Poshmark, which was encouraging. There were other very small sizes listed when I listed mine, so I just had it at a lower price, but a very interesting piece. It's been through a few delists and relists. Here on the tag, it's usually right there, whatever the name of the item is. But this came to me in a ThredUp DIY box, which is usually, that's kind of an interesting mystery box to do. I haven't done one in a while, but it's usually items with damage. This one did have some staining, which I, again, given that it was white, I did work on getting that out and was able to wash it with bleach and got the stain to come out. I think there might have been a light. Did I point that out on here? Yes, this staining here on the collar I was not able to get out, but I think there was another spot stain that I was able to get out. But the ThredUp DIY box, I think it's just 10 pounds, so you get about 8 items or so, and it usually has some damage or flaw or staining, but you can get some really interesting items in that. I think the intent is that it's scrap fabric for other projects. But I've gotten some high-end things. I had a Eliza J, like big puffy ball gown, which did have some staining at one of the under layers at the skirt, but that sold really well for me. This I thought would sell faster. The average cost of goods was $6.66 in the box. This took 255 days to sell. Sold for the $67.99 that I had it priced at, which I had dropped over time to that price. The buyer paid shipping, so my profit was $47.77. This I have also had a long time. This is a collaboration with Erdem, which is a very high-end designer brand, and H&M. They had a collaboration line together. This is some years old now, but it's a tweed blazer, kind of cropped. I had a smaller size 2 here, and also there were these buttons that were on here that, or pins rather, that mine were missing, these kind of sparkle pins, which I had to note. But otherwise in great condition. I just made sure to do a lot of detail photos up close. I'm trying to see if I had a close-up of the pins. Maybe I didn't highlight that. You can kind of see it there too. So that was missing. But I found this at a Buffalo Exchange for $28. I thought I'd be able to sell this for over 100. I've had this a long time, over a year, so 461 days to sell. It's definitely been through 2 winters. I listed it in the fall of 2022, so it went through the 22 to 23 winter and then 23 to 24 and sold in January. I gave more of a discount here, so $75 was the purchase price. The buyer paid shipping, and so I made a profit of $35.60. The last item on eBay, I've also had this for a very long time. This is a decent brand, Sundance, although not everything sells equally fast or well. I don't have the kind of code yet to which items are better than others. I had a pair of red leather boots that sold amazingly, very quickly and for good money. And then I've had a leather jacket that sat for a long time. So I'm still trying to figure out this brand. But I was able to find the stock photo, kind of midi length, floral, ruffle. This was one of, again, my earlier purchases when I was out thrifting. I found this at a Savers for $8.75. It's been listed for 607 days. Sold for $38.24. So my profit was just over $25. A main downside was that the size tag had been cut out and was missing, so I had estimated a size large and provided the measurements, but I think that probably held it back from somebody feeling confident enough to spend the money I was hoping to get for this. So something like a dress, and this is modal, so this was not going to have much stretch to it, so it's a little harder for a buyer to take a chance. Even if they know the brand, I'm estimating the size, and I just think that made it a harder sell. And the last sale from this time period is a pair of Birkenstocks. I was able to find the style name. These were in rough shape, the footbeds, but also the upper part just had some wear, some kind of, I'll show you here. This just kind of was getting a little sticky on this patent part. So I did my best to clean this. I put a little work into it. And there was, it's a little hard to see here, but the heels were quite worn as well. But this item I got from Facebook for free, actually. So I had nothing into it. They sold on Mercari for $12, and the buyer pays shipping there, so I made a profit of $9.74. I would not pick these up at a thrift store or really be looking for these. I think I like the neutral all leather ones better, but these were free to me, so I still listed them, and they had some interest. It took a while to make the sale, and I had to, accept the lower price, but that was fine given my zero cost of goods. So I hope that was helpful in seeing some of what's been selling. I've had some better brands in here, the Burton jacket, the Fred Perry polo, that first item, CP shades. And as you saw, there's a whole mix. We have sandals here and linen selling in January, as well as winter coats and blazers. So a whole mix of things. I had to kind of do some sales to get things moving, and during this time I was not listing new items. But this was a much better week than my week prior. So I hope you'll consider subscribing if you want to see more What Sold videos. I'll be kind of catching up with the rest of January and February over the next few weeks, and also showing you some hauls from my thrift trips. Thanks. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.